What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Grab My Banner podcast and Apex podcast. And today, normally I start the show by saying something snooty about Brian. I roast Brian in some way, shape, or form. No longer. Not no longer. Not today. Not today. I will not make fun of Brian. I'm defending Brian. He had one of the worst weeks in all of history of this game. He only got 18 kills in 16 games. He sucked. He was so bad. He was so damn terrible. He was one of the worst players to ever pick up a controller, but I'm going to defend him this week. It's okay, Brian.
That's a great choice.
You're okay.
That reminds you of something my Uncle Terry used to tell me, and that was, if you kick a dead horse too long, you get blood on your shoes. And I think that you've gotten really close to kicking Brian's dead horse ass just a little bit too much. It's too easy, okay? And it's too predictable. It's like, well, we're gonna show up to the Grab My Banner podcast. I wonder what's gonna happen. Well, Brian's probably gonna suck, and they're probably gonna roast him. It's like, well, we've seen this play out. Let's see what happens if we do the opposite thing and tell Brian that he is valuable, even if his statistics show us that he's not.
So are we a Brian podcast now? We're not roasting Brian today?
Not today.
Oh.
We're supporting Brian.
We're supporting Brian
I don't
today.
believe you one bit.
I am going to grill Brian today.
There it is.
Well, get to it, because I got excuses here.
Hold on. Let me go off of this real fast before you grill me. Before you grill me, I just want to throw out there: not a single one of us hit our lines this week.
No,
not a single one, including you.
I hit my lines.
You don't
have
even play.
I hit the
Your
only
line
lines.
was to-
I
your
hit the
line was
only
to
lines
press-
I have,
Your
which
li-
was betting.
Your line
You
was
were
to press
telling me-
one button, and you didn't do that.
Your line was to press one button.
We're talking to the guy that deleted Apex to download YouTube. You trash fuck. You can't even talk to me right now.
All right. In my defense, which is so easy because what I do makes sense, all right, and I don't suck at it. I downloaded YouTube to watch Apex. All right, I wasn't playing it, I was watching it, all right? That makes sense, all right? If you watch the Predator Report, you'll see that I very much have been watching Apex.
New segment alert later on, Predator Report, coming soon.
Have you hit a single button on this thing yet? Have you hit any button?
It's mostly sliders.
Have you touched it once?
I've touched it, yeah, I've touched it.
Have you touched it? Have you touched it in the process of work or just to touch it?
I don't know what I don't know what constitutes work.
I think we have our answer, you guys.
Yeah.
I helped figure out which microphone was making noise.
He did do that.
You did, but did you touch a button?
Dear God, Brian, how many zeros? How many zeros do you fucking have?
Okay, hold on, Kyle.
7.
He had
which
7
is a prime
zeros.
number.
Well,
Seven
hold
zeros,
on.
but
That's
I have
a
an
trick
excuse
question.
for that.
That's a trick question, though. It was 7 zeros in the kills category, 8 if you include the damage.
Okay, well, here's Kyle. I have an excuse for Brian. I have an excuse for Brian.
You have an excuse for his double zero?
Yeah, I have an excuse. The fires here in California. The smoke came through the window.
You're trying
and
so hard.
It affected his brain,
You're
and
trying
that
so
it
hard.
made him suck more. It honestly made us all suck more. I think we should all adopt that.
I
excuse.
think you're lying to yourself, and I think you're lying to him.
Okay,
too.
I have another.
You have a very, very valiant effort, but B, I sucked this week.
I have another excuse.
You have to-
See, look what we've done to Brian. We've beat him down so hard every week. Beat. We're just punching him in the face. We're kicking him in the shins. We're beating him down so hard that he's beating himself up. Brian, it's okay because you're also moving soon. You're moving soon, and that's a lot of stress on someone's. You got to pack and you got to get all the stuff and go to the new place. So that's.
He's got to get.
Let me tell
The
you.
trash bag from last time is probably stretched and stuff, so he's gonna have to find a new one of those.
Motherfucker.
Listen. 2 kills in the first quarter. You're telling me
Wait, Brian, you only had 2 kills.
4
I only had 2 kills.
the first fucking quarter. He has 4 fucking games, 2 kills.
Okay,
hold on.
I have another excuse. I posted a video on Twitter this week of Brian with his face and the word pain over the front as he described how bad he did on bets last week. And that video was too harsh. So, Brian, I apologize, and I know that affected your psyche.
You know what? It didn't.
That's like child abuse.
I wish it did, but it didn't. What affected me more was how red my face looked.
Brian might be in his mid-20s, but at the same time, his mental age is still juvenile. So
Wow.
that's considered
What a
child
dick.
abuse.
What a dick.
It makes sense.
How am I-
You can't.
How am I
You
still
can't-
getting roasted on this?
I'm not roasting
Brian, I'm
you.
defending
I'm trying
you.
to
I've
protect
given you 3 defenses.
That's like a backhanded.
the child abuse protection law.
Here's my last
Bitch.
excuse for. Wait, do you have another stat, Kyle?
Uh,
It looks like you have another stat.
My only stat is that Brian sucks.
can I?
Well,
can I-
Kyle, here's my last excuse. Kyle is such a bad teammate that it weighs heavily on Brian's mind, and he can't get over it.
You're fucking
That's true.
kidding.
That is true.
Yes.
Yep.
Only a
That's
bad
true.
teammate would wear a shirt that says #1 teammate on it, which Kyle is wearing right now.
Listen, let me tell you, this shirt is probably the best shirt I own because it speaks the truth.
So-
it speaks 100% the truth.
You guys will
No.
see.
Other shirts lie.
Oh man, I want to just acknowledge my most brutal quarter that I had. Okay, the first one was pretty bad, but
The first one was horrendous.
honestly, the third one was the most dreadful and demoralizing quarter, even though it was one where I hit my quarter for average. The reason why it was demoralizing was Game 9, death by my teammate. Game 10, death by the lava. Game 11, death by the storm. Game 12, death by the storm. None of those
You
involved an
died
opposing
by
team.
environmental things 3 times in that one quarter. That would be demoralizing, but I think it's a metaphor for the way the world is treating us right now, and
It's
I
for
think
the
that
fires.
yeah, the
It's a
fires.
metaphor for
It's
how the
affecting you.
fires
See, it's
infiltrate
affecting.
the
I was right.
flame.
I was right.
You're blowing smoke out your ass
I was
from the
r-
fires. That's
I'm-
what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I'm blowing smoke everywhere because there's fires and there's smoke all over the place.
Listen,
Kyle,
listen.
did you? Yeah, you didn't even get as much damage as I did at all.
I
Or even
don't,
once. And this is the I always hit a big game, Kyle. Like
Yeah.
the highest you got was 1,024. That
Kyle-
is literally one bullet. One bullet
If
over 1,000. If you didn't hit one bullet, you would have never hit 1,000 this week.
If
Yeah.
this was a report card and I was your mom, I would pull you aside and ask you what's going on.
Yeah,
Honestly, dude, if this was
listen,
a,
I got
Kyle-
pulled aside a lot.
Kyle,
as a
you
kid.
need to apologize.
if I were to give a
I'm
letter,
used to it.
if I give you letter grades for your report card, what it would say is it would fucking stutter.
Listen, yours would say fuck. You
Kyle.
fucking suck.
Kyle, hold on though. Like, there's a group of people out there that support the Kyle. They support you, and you let them down this week
I mean,
Listen,
because you always said,
They
"Oh, I always-
support the Kyle.
they support the Kyle."
listen,
Listen, if you're not running with me, then
Kyle,
get out of here. All right.
By-
you didn't have a game over 4 kills.
That's tough.
That is no. Well,
Yeah, you didn't have a game over 4 kills.
Well, it was.
You
a
just
tough
hit
week.
one kill consistently each time.
Shut up, 00.
You hit one kill
Kyle,
consistently each time.
You are the founding father of the 00. So I want to hear shit from
No,
you.
I'm not. Brian got a 00 before.
No, this is
I
my
did.
first
No,
00.
this is first 00.
No,
you
had
are the
one-
founding father.
No, because he tried to grill me last week, and he was like, "Oh, you got a 00," and then you're like, "Oh, I got one too."
No, that was the 029. So
I am the founding father
You're
of
the
the
founding
00.
father
of the
but
00.
you did
Listen,
get a 00 this week, and I did
Stop
not.
rubbing off on me. I'm going to become a bad teammate soon.
Fuck you.
you might want to scoot your chair over a little bit more so you're not close.
yeah, it
to
looks
him.
like you're trying to rub off me.
Well, yeah, because if you sit any closer to Kyle right now, notice how I've moved my chair multiple
I
times.
can't.
Like,
Your green screen's in the way, so I
well, it
can't
looks
do
like you're stuck with
I'm
00.
kinda-
Kyle.
yeah, I'm
it
fucked.
looks like you're going to get
I'm
those
just fucked.
germs. All right, boys, we got a packed show for the rest of the night. We have a Reddit discussion right after this. We're going to be talking about sniper meta versus shotgun meta, which one you would prefer. Then we're going to get into our main topic of discussion, and this one I think we're all excited for. Around Twitter during the weekend, SBMM, skill-based matchmaking, was a gigantic topic, people arguing back and forth. We're going to give our thoughts on skill-based matchmaking. Then we're going to get into our brand new segment brought to you by our very own super producer, Troy. He's going to bring the Predator Report, talking about some of the recent competitive games and spotlight some plays. And then we're going to finish off the show with gambling, like we always do. So let's get into it with the Reddit discussion. Shotgun meta versus sniper meta. What do you guys think? Let's start with Brian.
Okay, so as I have stated previously on multiple occasions, fuck shotguns.
Yeah,
I hate them. I can't shoot with them. I miss every shot. But give me a sniper, and I am beyond happy. The closest thing to a shotgun that I will ever use is damn triple take, and I am happy to say that. And you know what? It is the best shotgun in the game.
I think
I suck at shotguns.
Yeah,
I've
shotguns-
always been bad. I can't even kill somebody with the fucking SPOS 12 way back in Modern 2, the original one, when it was overpowered as hell. I literally couldn't even kill someone with it then. But you give me a machine gun, you give me a sniper, yeah, I'm going to land that shot.
What do you think, Kyle?
I think that Brian sucks because you could literally snipe somebody with the SPOS 12 from across the map and kill them.
Yeah, but we're talking about Apex now.
Yes. Well, anyways, now getting into it, I think I would rather have a shotgun meta because the shotguns are more in your face, and I like in your face gameplay more than I like getting sniped from like 5 billion miles away and just getting domed right in the head.
There's nothing more demoralizing than having yourself a really good game and all of a sudden you're dead and you have no idea where the shot came from, what happened. I mean, obviously that's like a positioning thing, but that does happen sometimes where it's just like you're crabered and you have no idea where it came from and you're just dead, and that sucks. So I will agree with you there, and I also agree with you in the fact that the shotgun meta is a lot more fun, I feel like. Getting up close and personal, that shit's fun.
My issue isn't with the snipers. It's with the assault rifles being long range. The Hemlock is stupid. The G7 is stupid right now. Yeah. Like those guns that's the issue, is that you have these assault rifles, high mobility, high fire rate, that are able to pop off from long distances accurately and be able to put out as much damage as a shotgun up close. Like, how often do you hit with the Mastiff? How often have we talked about hitting with a Mastiff or an EVA 8 or something like that for under 40?
Yeah.
And how much do you think a burst of a Hemlock is? It's 66.
It's over, yeah.
Yeah, it's 66. Or I think it's 66 or more. I know it's at least that.
The luxury of this conversation when it refers back to Apex is that there's kind of a hybrid meta between the two because of what Brian said, with the assault rifles being able to kind of be used as sniper rifles, but also the triple take being like a shotgun sniper where, you know, it's kind of the exact same thing. So you have the best of both worlds, I feel like, but I'd much rather see a shotgun meta because I feel like that up close and personal game, those are the funnest fights in Apex.
Honestly, yeah. And then I also feel like we ran into a team last night when we were playing competitive, and they ran... It was like
they ran G7, a longbow, and a triple take.
Yeah,
it was G7,
they had the
longbow,
triple
and
crown
triple
of
take.
sniper rifles.
So you were just getting shot, and then you'd slow down, you get shot again, and then you just get pinged to death by the fucking G7.
Can we all agree that a G7 is still a sniper?
Yeah, pretty much.
All they did was change the stock, and they said you can't put a sniper scope on it. Dude, nobody put a freaking sniper scope on it before.
Yeah.
The farthest scope I ever put on it was the 2 to 4 times, which still goes on it.
It's hilarious that you could have put a that gold sniper scope on.
Oh yeah,
like,
that's actually funny.
Thinking about that now is hilarious because it looks so funny.
Just remember back when you used to be able to put the 3-time scope on the R99?
Yeah. Dude,
yeah, that was a fucking laser. That was bad. That was bad.
There's a meme about it, and it shows an M1 Graham with a fucking telescope on the top of it. And I just think of that every single time you're thinking about putting the gold scope on the G7.
But yeah, so Brian, you're more on the sniper side.
Yeah, I'm more on the sniper side. I don't think the snipers are an issue. I think that the issue is there's too many long-range guns. I think the snipers are fine. I think the snipers are not overpowered. Are they good? And if you have a team all sniping on you, yes. But the chance that you close the gap on them, they're all a liability. So
what do you think about those close-range fights? What's your opinion on those?
I don't think it's bad. I think there's a lot of skill-based, a lot of movement-based abilities in there. I'm fine with the close-range fights being a real relevant thing. And I think the circle automatically starts to cater to that because the ring is going to close it in and it's going to cater to the close-range fights. So running, a Mastiff and the Prowler is going to be extremely viable, or the Volt and a Havoc, incredibly viable. But at the early stages of the game, you're going to see these snipers, these G7s. You're going to see these longer range engagements happen. I don't have an issue with it. I think it just adds another element to the game, and it makes people not auto-pick directly onto every submachine gun and every shotgun.
Well, one thing that's really been pissing me off lately is the damn charge rifle. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but a lot more people have been picking it up lately, and I've been fucking slammed with that thing from across the map like so many times in the past week.
The crazy thing about the charge rifle, too, is it's not one of those guns that's going to, kill you, but it makes you mad when you get hit by it. It's one of the most frustrating things when you get hit with the charge rifle.
You can't push against it. It's hit scan. If they can track, it's hit scan. You're not going to be able to push forward against it. You have to pick an angle and go around, and it takes a lot of time. But it's also one of those guns, because you're so afraid of that big burst at the end, you immediately go, oh shit, as soon as it starts hitting you, you hit that little mini panic button, and you're like, oh, I got to get out of here. Mm-hmm. The charge rifle is the only one I'm not a fan of out of all the snipers. I think the other ones are fine, but I don't like the hit scan.
Yeah, for sure. Now, another part of this discussion goes into what you think the meta is currently sitting at. Now, obviously, when you get up into the Apex Predator range or the professional range, you see a lot of Mastiffs coming out. A lot of Mastiffs. They're all over the place. Even a lot of EVA 8s, to be honest with you. I see a lot of those as well. But we're not all Predators. So what do you think, for the average player, what do you think the meta is right now? Do you think it's leaning more towards sniper or more towards shotgun?
I think it's in between. I actually like a lot of people are picking up the triple take, and I think the triple take's a nice in between where you can use a shotgun and a sniper. And I think I see a lot of people running with that triple take now.
It's spray and pray. Any first-person shooter with high mobility is going to be spray and pray. That being said, people are now realizing with the Evo shields early game, it is a very legitimate strategy to sit back and poke with these long-range guns and get your damage in, and then just swap out for something later. Pick up somebody else's gun because other people are still planning for that late game. And it's kind of sucks that that's what the game's turned into, is a giant poke war with a ton of teams, because it's trickling down more and more into the lower ranks as well of the competitive aspect of the game. Everybody's sitting, camping, putting damage on, trying to get an early pick, and then waiting for that third party to push in hard. I feel like it's a spray and pray meta for the most part, though. Like, as soon as you get past that point, everything is dominated by those energy guns and those shotguns. And, I mean, obviously the crate weapons as well.
I really like where it's at, to be honest with you. I like the idea that early on, sniper rifles are really good to get, your Evo shield up. But as the game progresses, you have to make those tough decisions and, trade out a sniper, even if you're hitting with it. If the circle's closing in, you might have to swap that out. You might have to go with something more close range. It adds another element to the game where you're not just stagnant the entire game. You've got your two guns. That's it. And I remember we used to talk about this too when we were playing other games. For instance, Overwatch, we would pick a character and we'd stick as that character the whole time. Well, as we got deeper into the game, we realized, we can't stay the same character, especially on certain points. You got to switch it up. Now in Apex, it's on that perfect point to where early on, it's cool if you've got yourself a Sentinel. It's cool if you've got yourself, a longbow, for instance. And now that they have the skull piercers, the longbow is even more relevant. But later on, you're going to have to make that tough decision if you're going to switch or not. And that tough decision has gotten me killed and saved my ass a few times. All right, so that'll just about wrap it up for this week's Reddit discussion, snipers versus shotguns. Now it's time to get into the big boy stuff. Put on your gosh damn big boy pants, because now we're talking about skill-based matchmaking, and this one has a lot of people hot on Twitter, has people arguing all over the place. Now, I have a very particular opinion about SBMM. I watched some videos this week to make sure I had that same opinion. But Troy, lead us in here. Give us both sides real quick, and then we can get into it.
All right. So essentially, what's being talked about is what EA has proposed as engagement optimized matchmaking versus traditional SBMM, and then also if either one is a good idea and should be utilized at all. And to kind of clarify what's going on, there was an internal study from EA, and it was specifically pertaining to statistics that were taken from FIFA playing, 1v1 sort of situations. And it was demonstrating that for individuals who were playing in that one-on-one environment, there were specific patterns of wins and losses that led to them either quitting or continuing to play the game. And so what EA developed was essentially a system that doesn't look at making the game more fair, but it looks at producing those patterns of wins and losses that are more likely to make a player continue to play. SBMM traditionally is essentially making it so that every time you go into a match, you're being matched with people that are very similar in skill level to you, maybe a little bit worse or a little bit better. And it's essentially going to incrementally increase as your skill increases so that every time you play, you get a competitive environment. And so there's a big distinction between the two of those things. Engagement optimized matchmaking essentially is trying to make sure that you just keep playing, and it's not really concerned with a fair play space. While SBMM, in its purest form, is essentially the most effective way to make the play space fair. Something that was also put forward in a number of videos and comments was that EA had mentioned how specifically engagement optimized matchmaking could be utilized to structure the game in the way that it responds to you in such a way that it encourages you to purchase more or to continue playing, which was the fundamental purpose. And also that there were, and I'm not 100% sure whether this was the same study or not, but there was talk of another internal study that was done. It could be the same one. I have to go and read through it. But it was saying that not only were you being paired with different players that would try to produce this win and loss pattern, but also things such as hitboxes, the difficulty that you have actually playing the physical mechanics of the game relative to other people could also be changed. And so it's almost as if the game is playing you at that point. And so the question really to you guys is something like engagement optimized matchmaking, where it's just trying to keep you playing the game, something that is healthy for the community? I think that's pretty self-evident. And then is traditional SBMM still something that you support?
All right, so, man, it always comes back to money, doesn't it? It seems like it always comes back to money. Now, in a lot of the videos that I watched, and this doesn't really pertain to Apex, this just goes about SBMM in general, any sort of matchmaking system in general, especially with games that have a lot of in-game purchases that are essentially pay-to-win games. One of the examples was EA's Star Wars Battlefront. Remember when Battlefront 2, remember when those loot boxes came out, the only way that you were going to win, or the best chance for you to win, was by buying loot boxes so that you could get the best character in the game. And that was how you were going to be able to win, essentially. And those loot boxes were... How much did it cost to get the best character, Kyle?
So the way that it worked was, so they shot out the cannon, they shot out the game, and the way that it worked was, if you wanted to buy either Luke Skywalker or Darth Vader, which were the two best heroes that you could become in the game, they were each $40. And some of the perks weren't in the game immediately. You had to pay for them and get them, and some of them were in the bundle with Darth Vader and with Luke Skywalker.
Or you'd have to play a ridiculous amount of hours. I think the hours you had to play and able to get those two characters were upwards of like 100 or something like that.
Yeah,
which just an
nuts.
insane amount of time. Or you just bought it. So that's where the SBMM problems comes from me, because not only were they, making it to where it was play to win, but it was also to where if you didn't pay to win, they would pair you with people who did pay to win, and you could see how they were doing or play against them, and you'd be like, dude, there's literally no way I can do this unless I pay. So it's unfortunate, man. I know that skill-based matchmaking at its core is meant to try and, I guess, make players better. And skill-based matchmaking would be fine if, there's a competitive rank list. But when you're playing casual, you want to play casual. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to play a game like Warzone and there's no competitive playlist where SBMM is supposed to be there, and then it starts to become a problem.
So I actually, touching on the competitive mode and the public lobbies, I'm on the flip side. I think SBMM should never leave the game, not fully in its purest form. I think SBMM is amazing. It does what it's supposed to do. It keeps brand new players from entering in the game and being just absolutely destroyed by full team Predator lobbies and never wanting to pick up the game again. So we always want more players to join this game, more people to have interest and want to play this game. I would rather see SBMM in its purest form be implemented to a very light degree in public lobbies, and then have SBMM in a competitive form just be outright and spoken. This is what the competitive SBMM is. This is how you climb the ranks. These are the things that make you a good player at this game. This is what you have to do. Get good at these and you'll get good at the game. My issue with where SBMM and what it is now and the potential that it carries is being able to, as we said, adjust essentially on the fly to how you've played the game. Put you in lobbies to force you into lobbies that have a much, much higher chance of winning or losing than what it should be. That's not true SBMM. That is now keeping you engaged. I just played these 6 really tough games, and then I just went and played 3 where I absolutely dominated, even though I was about to get off. But now I'm on a hot streak. I want to keep that going. I started off hot. I want to keep playing, even though my next 4 games I completely sucked ass. But my first game was great. I hopped on, and it made me want to keep playing.
Yeah,
that's where I have the issue. You shouldn't be encouraging your your community to play in that sense, because that's a sense of manipulation. I think that just have it set to a consistent, I hop on, I know what to expect. I don't want games that are going to be consistently easy to win. I don't want to win every game. That takes away from the win. I'm fine with losing certain games, but I want the games to be competitive. I don't want to run into a full-blown squad of predators when I'm playing solo. Like, that's not where it's at. Just because I won the last game with a random squad? Nah.
I got to be honest. I'm okay with engagement-based matchmaking. If there's going to be any sort of matchmaking system, which I think there is going to be for the foreseeable future, I'd rather have engagement-based, because I have a dumb brain. Okay, I am like, wow, I just had a great game. I am the greatest Apex player of all time. Now I have 2 bad ones, but then I followed up with 3 good ones again. I'm like, wow, this is great. I'm going to keep playing the game. With normal skill-based matchmaking, and we all experienced this, I think Season 3 or Season 4 is when they first implemented it. It was so hard to play for longer than an hour with your teammates, because it was like you were basically sweating the entire time. It took so much energy. It took so much like brain power to come out on top that it was just almost not even worth it. And let's talk about playing solo. You can't, because you don't have the team dynamic with skill-based matchmaking. You're trying to play solo against full squads. It's almost impossible, and that doesn't promote. I don't think that promotes at all. Continuing to play the game. I think that just promotes frustration at the game, anger, and then you just don't even want to play it anymore.
So I'm fine with skill-based matchmaking. I think that it has its place in the game. The thing that I don't like is the thing that Troy brought up, which was, them changing things on the fly. Like, imagine you're doing really good, and there's another team of people that are not as good as you, but due to random number generation, quote-unquote, you shoot bullets and they magically miss the guy, or you shoot a massive shot and hit for a 10, and somebody else shoots you and they hit,
somebody
all
who's
headshots.
paid more money than you.
Yeah, they hit all headshots. So you don't have, that's kind of the thing that would make me more upset, is if they implemented a system that made you be better just by paying money. Like, if I paid a bunch of money and got a bunch of loot boxes, magically I'm hitting headshots for the next 3 games. That would make me upset.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw this out there for the listeners. EOMM, the engagement optimized matchmaking, and as the form of SBMM, has not been confirmed for Apex Legends. This is speculation based off of how the game feels stepping into the games. A lot of players experience that first game being great, and the rest of the games after that, or the next 2 or 3 being poor, and then it picks back up, and then it goes back to poor. It almost seems like the SBMM is overcorrecting itself repeatedly, and it's not dialing into where everyone should be. But in a sense that what engagement optimized is not that SBMM overcorrecting, it's done on purpose. That is the correction, and it's saying this is to keep your attention on our game more, to give you those extreme highs and lows, to make you want to play our game more, because it gives you that addiction of those highs.
Right. And they're not predictable. At least they don't seem to be predictable, and that's the kind of reinforcement schedule that keeps people coming back. That is why gambling and slot machines are so popular, that is the way our brain works. But at least for me, especially as somebody who's not an expert, but as somebody who plays video games, I love the fact that you can have a competitive environment where you know that it's fair, and that it feels fair, and that when you suck, you get punished, and when you do better, you do better. But then you can go and play casual, and you have the opportunity to slay sometimes. You don't want something where everywhere you go, every direction you turn, you're just constantly facing your own inadequacy in the game. Like, there's a time and place for that, but you got to have an escape from it sometimes. And like, the game makers know that, because they know that you as an individual have a plateau you're going to hit, and if you can't have another type of game mode that you can play where you're not constantly facing that plateau, you're going to stop playing it. And I think a little bit of that EOMM, or all of it in the non-competitive elements, I really think that's attractive. I like it.
Branching off all these and kind of like converging back, what is the answer to it? How do you go about it? Is it, because at the end of the day, if you're dominating, someone's on the receiving end of that. Those games where you're like, yeah, I want to be able to win and just absolutely run the table in a lobby, somebody's on the receiving end of that, and they're having that horrible game. While on the flip side, when you're having that, it goes back and forth. So how do you adjust that to make it to where, one, it's an even playing field and fair to be competitive, and two, to where players can actually get that escape and go play and have fun?
Yeah, so this is what I've been talking about for the longest time when it comes to Apex. And I'm going to relate this all the way back to Apex. I know I've kind of branched off on different games and stuff, but this is all Apex. One of the biggest issues with Apex is the fact, ever since they implemented skill-based matchmaking, is that you're always sweating all the time. And it sometimes feels better to play competitive, especially when a season split happens, because you're not having to consistently just be balls to the wall the entire game. To fix that, I think they need to put in some game modes that are fun. They need to put in some game modes that aren't the typical, 60, battle royale mode. They need to have something else where people can go and play. And I think the reason they haven't done that, if I can speculate, it's because they haven't done crossplay yet. When they do that, I think they're going to implement a lot more. But not having that casual game mode, it gets really difficult. It's almost like, in the early days of a game like Fortnite, you could be serious, but you could also have a shitload of fun with that game, just doing whatever you wanted, building up to the roof. I remember we all cut down the entire Wailing Woods. We spent the entire game chopping Wailing Woods down. And that's one of my most memorable times in Fortnite. I didn't even get a kill. I was just chopping trees down. You need to have those little modes on the side where people can have a good time. It can't always be competitive. You have to tone that down. So I think that's the way you fix it, is just putting extra modes in the game that are more casual.
So touching on that,
look like?
Well, we actually had a great example of that with the Express, the Winter Express.
I was about to say the Winter Express.
A game mode you can drop in, you die, it's not a big deal. You don't have to reload into a new game. You just drop in the next round, kind of like a search and destroy match, but you're just trying to take the train and hold the train the entire time with your team. And it's obviously smaller lobbies. I think it was, 3 squads, 4 squads, 3 teams. Basically a 3-team deathmatch on a moving train that traveled throughout the map. You had to hold off the other team. It was actually really fun, very enjoyable. And the gun classes were already created for you, and they rotated between each character.
Yeah, so it wasn't like Caustic was super powered the entire time. They switched it every day.
Yeah, he might have a horrible gun class, but on a train, his gas is amazing. So you kind of have to pick and choose, do I want to play the horrible gun class today? Can I play with these weapons? Am I good? All this other stuff. I think that's one mode where it's a great thing, and I think that's one of the reasons why people have been wanting multiple game modes to be on rotation within this game. Things that they can change things up, different from Always Be Closing, different from all these ones, Armed and Dangerous, to kind of get that escape.
Well, what if they took the SBMM out of those game modes? Would that be something that people would want? If we had Armed and Dangerous but it didn't have SBMM, or if we had Always Be Closing but it didn't have SBMM?
Are you saying that you want it to be a completely random lobby, or are you saying that you want some other type of matchmaking like EOMM? Because if it's completely random,
you're taking out the competitiveness.
Well, not only that, because Brian is right, you're taking out the competitiveness because there's so much variation in who you're facing. You can't track whether or not you're really doing better or not. But also, you have the potential to get absolutely slaughtered in the same way that you would if you were playing poorly in ranked. But then you have it could go the other direction too.
That's what I'm talking about, though. It's because if it's completely random,
okay,
there's a small % chance that I'm going to get fucking Joe Blow who's never played the game before. Okay, and then there's also There's also a % chance that I'm going to get an Apex Predator on my team that knows what the fuck's going on, can slaughter entire teams like that. That's also possible.
And it's also not a competitive mode. Like, it's not meant to be competitive. It's armed and dangerous. It's meant to be shotguns and snipers. It's Winter Express. It's just you're meant to have fun. And I think you're going to get shredded a few times here and there, but it's not a game mode where you can be like, oh, I got shredded. I'm playing competitive. Fuck me. It's more like, I'll load back in.
I actually think that Winter Express could be a competitive game mode.
Yeah, that would actually
that'd be fun.
Cool.
Yeah,
that'd be very
but
cool.
but I think that
sidebar.
Yeah, sidebar. Cool. But if it had like a competitive version and non-competitive version, I'd be so down.
I think it's. Sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
I was going to say so. No, I lost my train of thought. Continue. Go ahead. It will come back to me.
I think it's worth mentioning that just because of the law of large numbers, essentially, and the regression to the mean and all that stuff. The bigger the lobby of the game you're playing, okay, the more likely it is that your experience is going to feel the same in a random lobby each time. So if you have a lobby of 300 people, okay, the likelihood of you running into a handful of apex predators and a handful of people that suck and a handful of people that are kind of like you, it's a lot higher than if you had a 3v3 match, right? Then you're still pulling from that pool, but you can have anomalous players that pop in. It makes the game experience feel a lot different. So in a battle royale, the lobbies are pretty big. And so if you want it to not feel like a grind, right? Well, Apex isn't as big, but still, if you want it to not feel like a grind, I'm all for a little bit of intentional manipulation in the non-competitive modes to make it rewarding for people. And you still get that competitive element because the rules are very explicit in the competitive mode. So I don't think that you should make it all competitive or all not. I think you should have a way to be in a fair environment where it's going to be fair, and then you should be in an environment where it's like, okay, I'm going to trust the game makers to make this as fun of an experience for me as they can. Like, I think that's like, that's kind of what we trust them for all the time. So, why wouldn't you trust them with that?
One thing that will help immensely, I think, with the SBMM is when cross-plat comes in.
Yeah.
Having enough players to say, okay, cool. Well, not even just that, but having enough players that party up together and throw them in the lobby. If you're a 3-stack, you shouldn't go against solos.
100%. Yeah. Rocket League did that. And they have solo trios, and then they have regular trios. And if you're playing solo trios, you have to be on your own, and that really makes it way better, in my opinion.
That's what it should be. Is if you're playing a solo, you shouldn't run into a 3-stack of Apex Predators when you're playing in Platinum or Diamond. You shouldn't do that. One, you're in Platinum, and you shouldn't be running into Apex Predators yet. And two, if you're playing by yourself, you shouldn't be running into a 3-stack of Apex Predators. Yeah. And vice versa. If you're in Gold or low Plat, you should not be running into a solo Bronze player. Like, that's not how it should work. It should be some sort of alteration in there where they're able to control that so that doesn't happen. And I think one of the big issues is they don't have enough of a player base in one server to be able to say, okay, well, all the players that are teaming up and going as a group together into a game have to play other teams like that. Teams of 2 or teams of 3, preferably 3-on-3. But it should be done separately. And if you have 2, you should be queuing up for duos pretty much exclusively.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get some closing thoughts on this one. I'll start. My closing thought, while I wish there was no matchmaking systems in any game, unfortunately there has to be because a lot of people like to play games. So I feel like the best one for me would be some form of engagement-based matchmaking because I'm an idiot. I like to feel like I'm good, I like to feel like I have the highs and lows. So I'd like to see that, and I just wish there was more of a less competitive mode in Apex where I could just have some fun. That's my closing thoughts. Kyle, hit me with it.
As long as they don't manipulate me for my money, I'm completely fine with any SBMM that they put in there. I just would also like modes that don't have SBMM. That just, you have just a mode to have a good time at. And I think that is something that Apex severely misses. And I think that if we had that, it would make the player base have a lot more fun, and I think they would actually play longer too, because if you get tired of sweating, then you can just go play one of the other bullshit modes and just have fun.
Exactly. Super Producer Troy.
I think there's a few things I'd draw the line on where if I had evidence that it was happening that I wouldn't want to play the game. One would be that it was a pay-to-play where you essentially have things you can spend money on that just makes you better at playing the game, not just looking better. That's different. But if you have something where you pay and you are better than other people because you paid, I don't agree with that at all. And even Call of Duty pushes that for me a little bit. But the difference between what you guys were saying about Battlefield and Call of Duty is like anything that you can buy, you can earn in a reasonable amount of time. It's like it's a few hours, it's not 100 hours. There's a difference there. And the other thing is that if you're actually physically changing the game mechanics, where a better player is trying to fight a worse player with a physically smaller hitbox or a slower movement speed or something like that, I think that's too far. I even if you're like, well, we only do that in the non-competitive lobbies, that to me it's just a little bit too much of an intervention. And so I'm excited to do a little bit more research, and because this is something I was just barely exposed to today, really, other than playing it and experiencing it, but the research side of it today. So over this next week, I'll look into it more. But at least what I know right now, I'm totally in favor of an engagement kind of matchmaking system for non-comp. But for comp, always have the rules explicit and always keep everything fair as possible. But I think the balance between those two is good.
Brian, closing thoughts.
It's SBMM. There's no happy medium in it. If you're on the receiving end, like I was all week, it fucking sucks. If you're on the side where you're just dominant nonstop, like you were last week, it's amazing. You love it. That being said, engagement based does seem to be currently the best representation. At least this way, I stay engaged in the game. I still want to play consistently. It's not repetitive over and over. Although I would like to see the quote-unquote perfect SBMM where it's really you just go into a competitive game and you say, I'm going to play against people that are based off my skill level, and as my skill level gets better because I'm playing people just slightly better than what I am, I'm going to get better.
Yeah.
So
engagement based, baby. We got dumb brains. Dumb brains.
Dumb, stupid brains.
We got dumb, stupid brains. All right, new segment alert. It's time. Here we go. The Predator Report. We're going to get into it right now. We're going to drop it in, and then we're going to discuss it right after. Here is Super Producer Troy's Predator Report.
This is the Predator Report. I'm Super Producer Troy. Counterlogic Gaming reached peak predatorial status after winning the ALGS Summer Circuit American Finals back on September 12th. 20 teams qualified for the playoffs, with the top 10 teams receiving point advantages. Each team needed to accumulate 50 points to be eligible for match point. After earning their 50 points, all that was left was to win one match. It took CLG teammates I'm Madness, Pow Pow, and Vaxlon 7 games to secure victory, even though second-seeded Complexity secured the match point 3 games in. And they were cocky about it, too. To stay in the loop on updates regarding ALGS, follow them on Twitter at PlayApex, or you can tune in live on Twitch or YouTube at PlayApex or PlayApex Compete, respectively. The ALGS Summer Final showcased the new metas that have been developed in the wake of the September 3rd patch we were all waiting for, where Respawn reverted shields back to their original values. 7 of the 10 teams in the Summer Series, including champions CLG, used Wattson, Crypto, and Wraith, with substitutes being Gibraltar or Bloodhound in the place of Crypto for the 3 teams that didn't. 9 of the 10 finishers used Wattson in their lineup, showcasing how critical she is as an asset to any player attempting to be competitive in the current meta. Now it's time to get into our play of the week. While Wattson was used on just about every successful team in the ALGS Summer Circuit, the flash and flare came from numerous plays from the best wraiths on the planet. The standout play came from Flying Drone's Twitch Sorcerer, who perfectly timed a portal on Complexity's unsuspecting iShiny. iShiny was healing behind cover when Sorcerer dropped a portal on top of him, and he was suddenly sucked into the void and came face to face with death on the other side. iShiny was able to hop back into the portal and escape the kidnapping momentarily before getting finished off moments after, returning back to his original spot. This type of play shows the ingenuity of the pros, and why they are competing to be the best Apex Legends in the world. In next week's episode of the Predator Report, we'll take a closer look at CLG Vaxlon, the Watson that fenced CLG's way to victory in this year's ALGS Summer Circuit. Through our study of Vaxlon, we'll uncover what it takes to become an effective Watson, the keys of generating an effective crypto-wraith-Watson dynamic, and just what exactly sets Vaxlon apart from the rest. That'll do it for this week's Predator Report. On behalf of the Grab My Banner podcast, I'm super producer Troy, signing off.
All right, the Predator Report. Good job, Troy. You did great. That was our first time doing it, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot better as time goes on. We have a lot of good ideas moving forward with the Predator Report.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm going to be a lot more drunk next time for sure.
So I had some questions for you because something really threw me off. I was expecting the meta to be Watson, Gibraltar, and Wraith, but you said it was 7 out of the 10 teams had a crypto instead of the Gibraltar. That really threw me off.
Yeah, it was really fun to watch the way that they were utilizing the drone from behind the wall of Watson's fences. It was just so cohesive, and you could tell that they needed the Watson to be able to effectively hold down areas so they didn't have to be moving constantly, because if you're a pro, right, and you get caught out in the open, you're totally screwed. And so holding places down was essential, and Watson helped them do that. But they really utilized Crypto's drone better than I'd ever seen it. A lot of people on the internet were making fun of Crypto's drone and essentially saying he was just a drone and nothing more. But the way that I was seeing the pros use the drone, I was like, wow, that's really, really strong. So it was cool to see. I totally was surprised.
What was the gun meta like for most of those people playing in the finals?
I saw so much Mastiff play.
Yeah.
Like a lot. I saw a ton of it. And then beyond that, the coolest stuff I saw was definitely shots with the Wingman. Because, I know from the little bit of Apex that I've played how hard it is to use that thing at a distance, but, the pros hit it just so consistently. And then, obviously, stuff with, when the Kraber came out or when the Peacekeeper came out. The Peacekeeper, I think, is my most fun gun to watch.
Yeah.
But in terms of what I saw the most pros using the most consistently, I saw the Mastiff.
So I want to go back to that crypto play. Crypto and more in regards to that Watson as well. Just out of curiosity, because I've played Watson, and I actually do enjoy Watson because I like that stay back, be able to poke, have that sniper, that long range, that wingman play style. But as far as the crypto goes, because one of the things Watson does is you get to a high ground and you hold it. That high ground does not come away from you whatsoever. But that crypto, right, that ultimate, will actually go in and just neutralize a Watson instantly. Was that the main focus of what the crypto's drone was, or was it more of a recon tool throughout the course of the play?
It was, because the Watson was so, is being used so consistently by the teams. Crypto's drone's ability to wipe out those fences is really useful. But more often than not, I was seeing it used as a recon device, as a way of scouting out who's coming for you in the place where you're held up and where you're going to make your next push and when you need to. Because if you have a room all fenced off, right, and you're defending it, you have to be able to reach out into the outside world and figure out what's going on out there so that you can plan your next move. And because you're always going to have to transition at some point. So I saw it used both ways, but it was always recon. Recon was always at least a part of it.
I had a question about that play you were talking about because you showed me the clip of it beforehand. And this also
absolutely nuts.
This also proves that we have dumb brains because I would have never thought to do that. But that Wraith literally kidnapped a Gibraltar. A 5'2" Wraith kidnapped a big bad Gibraltar. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And we'll put the clip up on Twitter. But essentially, the Wraith comes in as the Gibraltar is healing, drops the portal on top of him. He gets sucked into it and then just gets electrocuted by 1,000 fences. He was able to escape, but he died moments later. But that play was so it was like incredible but funny at the same time. I was laughing. It was funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's when I saw it, it was obviously so intentional. And even he gets pulled into the like Watson trap on top of it. Like they're waiting for him. There's the fences already put up. But when you see something like that, like it reminded me of those like fluke, like 1 in a million things that happen during your games where you're like, that was absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
But they did it intentionally. Like you were saying, you're like, yeah, that dude was so smart that he planned that out, and then he was actually good enough to go pull it off. I was floored. I've never seen anything like that. And I talk a lot about, like, you know, Call of Duty and how we can make it faster paced and how we can compete with Call of Duty. It's like we have people doing stuff like that. There's no competition, man. Like that's in a league of its own. That's crazy. I've never seen anything like that before.
One other question, and this was probably my favorite part of what you did in the Predator Report. You explained the scoring. Because the scoring for me, I watched the tail end of it. I'm like, wait, the CLG doesn't have as many points as the second place team. What the hell's going on here? You explained the rules perfectly, and I think this rule system at the time, the chat and Twitch was like, "This is stupid. This is dumb." I don't think they understood the scoring system, but you explained it perfectly. I think this is a really good scoring system.
Yeah, I love it. I really, really loved it. So they had like all the regional qualifiers, right? And depending on how the teams were seeded, the first 10 teams out of the 20 that qualified for the finals, what they were calling the playoffs, because it's a lot of games. So the out of the 20 teams that qualified for the finals, the top 10 seeds came in with a point advantage. So the number 1 seed came in with 10 points, all the way down to the number 10 seed that came in with 1 point before the playoffs ever even started. And then the way that the scoring worked was, every game, depending on your amount of kills and how late into the game you survive, you get a number of points. Once you get 50 points, okay, and you have to get it ahead of time. It can't be the same game that you win. So once you get 50 points, then you qualify every game after that as a match point. So once you're at 50, then if you win a game, you win the tournament. So the first person to win after they've accumulated 50 points wins the tournament. And then obviously after that, it's the points that determine the hierarchy of second, third, and so on. And I thought that was like, God, it's so cool, because you need the clutch of being able to pull out a win. You can't just be consistently second place. You know, you have to be good enough to clutch it out when it matters. But you also have to be consistent enough that it's not just like a one game head to head and you somehow pulled it out of your ass. It's like, no, you got to prove both. I love this scoring system.
Yeah, it was great, and that was a great Predator Report. We're going to be having the video up on Twitter, so make sure you check that out. It's going to be a cool new segment that we're moving forward with. We might not do it every week because there's not always competitive games, but great job. You really did all the research on that, so congratulations. So now let's get to the best part of the show, the tail end of the show. The part of the show where we roast.
The show where I fucking dominate everybody
Brian,
in here.
shut up, Brian.
Brian, I think you have the least amount of bones out of anybody at this
I can
table.
guarantee that.
Brian,
He's got that 100% guarantee.
all right, let's. Who wants to go first with how their week went? I can do it if I need to. It wasn't good.
I don't want to talk about it.
All right, I'll go. Yeah, I'll go. So, obviously, at the beginning of the show, you could, assume that none of us did very well. And since none of us did very well, our bets didn't do very well. I was minus 22 bones, plus my 10 allowance. I'm sitting at minus 12 on the week. Had a lot of bad bets. I ended up only winning 2 bets. All the other ones were fails. So I went 2-6. Not a good week for the Bab. What about you, Kyle?
Okay, well, I don't know my record.
Hold on.
While Kyle figures himself out, I had a very simple week. You accused me of playing defense, even though I bet way more bones than you.
Defense.
It's not defense. Okay, I looked at this week, and what I saw was question marks. I saw how frail Brian was, and I thought, smoke.
The fires.
I thought the fires.
Yeah.
And look, I'm obviously smart enough to pick up on these things because look what happened.
Yeah.
Right? And I looked at Kyle, and I said, worst teammate. And at some point that has to catch up with you.
I respect that.
And it did.
Because the shirt he's wearing says number 1 teammate. So a lot of people would be like, oh, he's a really good teammate. But you were able to see that, and you were like, no, it's not. It's not like
that shirt is more of a lie than a shirt that actually says Red Bull gives you wings. It's like, tell that to the dude that jumped off of his parents' roof. It doesn't. And you're not the best teammate.
Did that happen?
But I am.
I'm sure it has. Okay, so my week, very simple. I went 2-2, and because I bet on quarters, the ones that I win mean so much more. Brian, take note, okay? So I played mostly on Wyatt, okay? I played 2 of my 4 on Wyatt, and I got them both. Thank you, Wyatt.
You're welcome.
I bet... Dude, you did not just fucking say that to me right now.
Well, you're welcome.
Okay, all right.
We're going to gloss over that.
Trying to conserve time.
Okay, so I made a bet on Wyatt that he would hit his 4th quarter over on kills, and he hit that. And then I got a 2-1 on his 4th quarter average damage. I bet 20 bones. I reeled back in 40. I missed my 2 bets on Kyle and Brian. I mean, I bet over on Brian, so I knew that. But beyond that, I went up 15 bones this week, and then I added in the 10 from the weekly allowance. That gives me a plus 25, and that makes me sit at a total record of 10-15 and a total bankroll of 300.
Holy fuck.
All right, so I got mine together, and I figured out my record this week is not very good. So I am 1-7.
Oh my god.
You did worse than me.
I only got 1 bet right.
1-7?
You did worse than I did.
So
I can't talk too much.
I'm negative 45, but plus my allowance, I'm negative 35.
Oh, Kyle.
Wait, you're negative
35.
Like, just on the week or like total?
Just on the week,
Okay.
I'm negative 35. I have 85 bones total right now. Okay.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, it's been a tough week, and I missed most of my bets, and we all sucked this week.
We sucked.
And I bet a lot of overs.
We sucked. Brian.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I sucked.
I'm sorry.
So I bet 70 bones last week.
Holy fuck.
On 9 bets. I went 2-7, one better than Kyle. But I went 2-7. My total overall record is 11-26.
Holy.
I have a remaining post allowance of 49 bones. I lost 60 bones this week.
Man, dude,
I think that's the record for most bones lost in a week.
Brian, it's okay. It's the fires. It's the fires, Brian.
It's the fires that are affecting your brain.
It's the fires. Okay. Well, here's the thing, boys. Here's the thing. Now, we all had terrible weeks, minus Troy. But here's the thing. We're setting ourselves up for an overs week. Okay. This is an overs week. Lines went down. It's overs week.
Listen, if SBMM has taught us anything, we're in tune for some very big games.
No, this isn't SBMM. This is engagement, okay? Because we just got all of our shit games out of the way. Now it's time for our engage. They're trying
it's
to
getting the good one. It's getting the good one.
It's good games time. So I'm betting overs this week. I do have a few unders, but I am betting overs this week. It's overs week. It's the red wedding of overs. Okay, that's what's or unders. It's the red wedding of unders. That's what it is. Let me get the lines up for everybody listening at home. Here we go. All right, so my lines, my total kill line stays the same at 37.5s with halves at 18.5 and quarters at 9.5. Average damage is still at 600 and max damage 1800. Kyle's total kills 32 with halves at 16 and quarters at 8. His average damage 550, max damage 2000. Brian's total kills 24 with halves at 12, quarters at 6, average damage 550, and max 1800. So, those are the lines. Who wants to go?
I bet a shitload.
You bet a shitload?
I bet a shitload.
You bet. Okay, Troy bet a shitload. I'm going to go first because I bet a shitload, but it's only in a couple bets. I've got a 20 bone bet right off the rip.
Are you sure?
For Wyatt B's average damage in the 4th quarter.
Okay. Safe.
Over?
Yes.
Safe bet.
And then I've got, in the second half kills, I got 5 bones on Wyatt B.
Over?
Yeah.
Or
Oh, it's over.
Yeah.
And then I've got 10 bones on for my 3rd quarter average damage.
I could see that.
And then I've got 10 bones under on Brian's max damage because he's not going to hit that motherfucker.
Oh, poor Brian, dude. Brian's stone faced right now. He's not even thinking about it.
He's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, he's
Apparently, I can't do math. I
Is that
don't.
it? What did you say, Brian?
Oh, apparently, I can't do math.
Why?
I had 52 and then an allowance, so I actually have 62 bones.
Okay, so
I'm not in that bad of shape.
Yeah,
I just can't
you're
do
in
math.
terrible shape,
Sitting
Brian.
real pretty.
You're minus what 38 bones right now, like from our original.
How many bones does Troy have?
Listen, I'm not in bad shape after this week. After this upcoming week, I'm not in bad shape.
You say this every
How many
you ever
bones do
think
you
to
have?
yourself,
I'm changing my betting pattern.
Why?
I have
Which
300
one?
bones, Brian. 300.
Brian, go next.
I am betting big. If you can't bet on yourself, who are you going to
Brian,
bet on?
stop saying that.
Oh, fuck.
Knock it off.
Your anger brings me pleasure in that. I hope you know that.
Well, okay, it does make sense because Brian has a bad week, good week, bad week. So far.
I'm betting big on myself, and remind you.
Oh, I have a proposal before you say your card.
Let me know this.
I have
what
a
do you
proposal
tell me?
before you say your card.
What do you
Okay,
say?
So to clarify, max damage quarters are the 3-1s, right?
Yeah.
Yes, max damage quarter 3-1.
You have how many? 62.
I have 62.
You have 62. Okay. All right. I'm doing this for two reasons. One, because I want to bust you, and two, because I want to bring you back in the game. So
I've never lost out of the game.
I want both. I
You've
want
only
both
lost,
things.
Brian.
I want both things.
That's all you've done.
I won
Okay.
week 1.
He's lost.
All right. Here's what I'm going to do. On yourself, if you pick a single quarter, for your max damage and you hit it, okay, not only do you get the 3-1, but I will match it out of my pocket.
Oh.
If you bet
So
all of your money.
62 bones on a quarter for max damage.
Yeah.
So you-
because that would be 186 in pure profit that you get back, and then you
Plus
get to
the
keep your 62.
So 186, 62. What is that?
I don't know what that is,
200.
but I know that
Math
it's
is hard.
It's 186. Okay,
162.
and that's what you would be winning as profit, and that's what I would match.
So my
out of
bankroll would
my
be
pocket.
248.
It would be higher than mine after I gave it.
248. And on top of that, let's see. Yes,
Yeah, you're gonna
Brian,
take it.
don't-
I'm taking
You're
it.
gonna
Brian,
take the
don't
shove,
do.
dude?
Brian,
taking
you're gonna be at 0.
I ain't gonna be at 0. I have a 10 allowance.
Don't do this, Brian.
Brian, I'm serious, dude. I'm dead serious. You pick whatever fucking quarter you want. You shove everything on it. If you hit it, I will match the profit out of my pocket.
Oh my God, Brian, don't do this.
So hold on. So what do you even get if I don't hit it? Is it you? Yeah.
you don't hit it?
Yeah.
What do I get if you do not hit it?
Yeah. Like what do you even profit out of that?
I get nothing. I get to just see you lose.
You get to see me drop to 0. You really think I won't hit my max that
Well,
bad?
because okay, here's
What's
the thing.
my max this week? I
No,
don't
here's
even know
here's the thing. Here's the difference. Here's what's going to happen is that you're going to suck this week, and then you're going to be like, I have 20 bones. I'm really not in that bad of shape, and then we get to see you like just limp until you finally die. And I want you to go out purely because of me, and I want to lord it over you until the end of time. That's what I want. That's my reward. It's so worth it.
That is interesting. This is
Okay.
like a head-to-head.
So
This is an extreme head-to-head.
I want you to stream that quarter. All 4 of those games.
I'll be in attendance.
Listen.
one I can't.
I don't think he should
I don't have
pick
the.
a quarter. I think he should just try to get the max in general because he has not hit it at
No.
all.
Yeah, because Brian
Yeah,
sucks.
I've hit it.
Okay,
I hit it week
listen,
1.
I would be giving him 180 bones. That's more than either of you even have.
How about a half?
Nope.
I
made my
listen,
bet.
Brian's in
He
it.
doesn't have to take it. He can say no. I'm just saying that's something I'd be willing to do. That's all.
Hold on, Brian. Sidebar. Like, are you cool with the fires? And everything? Are you good? Like, do you think the smoke's gone? Or what do you think?
I had my apartment come install a new air filter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you got new.
Yeah, I told Ashley the windows closed.
Okay. So
Yeah, okay.
you think you're good then?
No, but
Well, you're
yeah,
not. You work,
yes,
you work
but,
inside,
I mean,
so no fire stuff.
Yeah, no fires in there. It's just going to and from the car.
Okay.
I wear a mask for the week.
Do you think double up on the mask? Like wear 2 of them.
We're 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you double up on
Hey,
condoms.
this is a sidebar. Can you
Yeah.
You think you're good?
I think I got this.
Okay.
So remember last week when you were telling me I had to start betting quarters because I couldn't do it anyway, or because the payoff was just so much more worth it?
I was trying to help you.
So before we made this bet, I was going to bet on myself in the first quarter for max damage on the 3-1. So what do you think I'm taking, bro?
Okay, man.
Don't take the first
that being
quarter,
said,
Brian.
That being said, dude, I start off hot. I had a bad week. That engagement optimized matchmaking is going to play me well.
Hold on, time out. Do you remember the first week when Troy became rich because you didn't hit your average damage?
Now, listen,
in the first quarter.
It's only right that I take it back from him in
Brian,
the first quarter.
Brian, if you're going to take this, any quarter but the first one, any of them. At this point, I think it might be more than it might be more than the Flyers. I don't know.
Let me,
Brian, as the one betting, offering you a proposal, and also your legal counsel, I strongly advise you to not take this deal.
Brian, do the third.
Don't take the bet. Just don't take.
Don't take the bet.
I'll do a different head-to-head for you. I'll give you my bones. Just don't take the fucking bet.
He's gonna take it.
I'm looking at my stats. I'm looking at my stats. You guys know me. I'm backed into a corner. I have to fight.
Listen, I'll give you a different head-to-head. Just don't take the fucking bet.
He's gonna take it. He got
There's
challenged.
zero corner. You literally would be like, "No, I'm not taking it," and then I'd be like, "Yeah, it's probably smart." That's how that would go.
Nobody would roast you. They know the Flyers are a thing.
Listen,
All right.
even if you're so sure.
So, I'm looking at my numbers, my damage, and where I pop off at.
It's kind of hard to find, huh?
A little bit. It looks like I play.
That was good. That one was good.
Yeah, I've hit
19.
I've hit 19 before in second quarter. I also hit 1871 in the fourth quarter. So second and fourth have been my best traditionally. Week 2 was probably my best week, I believe. So let's go ahead and say fourth quarter.
Okay.
I will take your bet.
All right.
Okay.
The fourth quarter makes sense. Oh, they just shook. They shook hands.
All right, it's a deal.
This is great
But you
podcast.
have to, in order for the bet to be valid, you have to stream it,
Well,
and I have to watch it.
We
I
might
don't
not
have a
be able
capture
to
card. I
stream.
can't stream it,
We
but
might
I
not-
can have.
We can record it.
I can record the games and send it to you.
I can record it.
All right, that's fair. I'll
Okay.
allow it.
Okay.
I'll allow it.
All
I would
right.
even better. I would love to just be there.
Yeah, I think we should.
We
just
we
be
might we might have to set that up to where we get you guys over and I might have to throw it on the big screen.
there. Let's just.
That would be
No,
amazing.
don't do that for you. Don't.
No.
You need the monitor.
Yeah, no, please don't change anything.
Brian, I literally need you to do nothing different. Well, actually, yeah, maybe maybe do everything different.
All I need is filters, you guys. I need
All
filters
right,
throughout
so
my house.
That negates all of your bets, correct? Like you're just taking this head to head.
Yeah,
There's no way you can. Bet.
I had no choice. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm literally all in.
All right,
on my
so
fourth quarter.
Troy,
max.
that you already did your bets as well, correct?
Yeah, I did.
All right, so we will finish off this segment with me hitting my bets. Let me pull them up. So I've got. I'm only doing 5-unit plays on every bet. I'm going to take the second half over on my kills at 18.5. I tend to do better in the second half. It's just something that happens. I'm also going to take my fourth quarter 9.5 over. I don't know. I just close out better in the fourth, so I'm taking that. For Kyle, I got 3 bets on the big boy over here. I'm doing an over on the second and third quarter kills at 8. Kyle's good. He's good in those quarters. He doesn't really start off hot. That's why I took the under on his first quarter, but all at 8. So I'm feeling good about that. Once again, these are all 5-unit plays. Average damage, 550 over in the second quarter. He does good in the second quarter. I got to bet quarters. I have to do it. Like this is, I lost 22 this week. I got to make my way back, and the best way to do it, quarters. I also got some kills. Not kills on Brian. I could probably get some kills on Brian.
False. I kill you more often in a 1v1.
Oh my God, Brian. All right, so
Get me up in that training room.
oh my God, Brian, you need it. So I'm going to take the over on your second quarter of kills of 6. It's an incredibly low number, and you tend to do better in the second and fourth quarters. I'm going to take the under on your third quarter, though, of 6. I'm also going to take the under on your average damage at 550 and the under on your max of 1,800. So that'll tell you that I'm probably on Troy's side here because I need, to win my bet on you. As much as I defended you today on this head-to-head, I can't because I have a bet on your Max. And I didn't know he was going to do that head-to-head. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bet it, so I could be on your side. But unfortunately, that's the way the cookie crumbled today.
Your true colors have shown, and I have disowned you.
Okay, well.
Well, listen. I just want to say, Brian, that I really wasn't pulling for you because I have a bet against you this week, but I'm pulling for you to hit this max damage.
You're pulling for me to hit this max damage, so Troy's no longer so far ahead that you guys can catch up.
Listen, dude, because I know. No,
my motives don't need to be talked about.
No, my motives is that I know that if you get all the money, you'll flounder it and lose it all.
That would actually be funnier, watching him get a bunch of money and then losing it all in like 2 weeks.
I'm sure that you will flounder more money than Troy will.
All right. Well, wow. We got our first head-to-head, boys. This should be fun.
That's crazy. Listen, okay, so
points.
I want to introduce you into the world of Brian winning this bet. Okay, because that would put him at 186 times 2 plus 62. That would put him at 434 to start next week.
Plus 10.
Dude, I could honestly see
Plus
him
10.
losing that in 1 week. I'm not even lying.
How much would you have, Troy?
Well, it depends on what I win next week. But if nothing had changed, then it would then I would be at 114.
Oh, that's not bad.
You're not even below. Like, you're still up 14.
Yeah.
So it's really a win-win for you. Plus, you have the best record on the show. All right, guys. So that should just about wrap up this week's show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at GrabMyBannerPod. Follow us on TikTok as well. I've been lagging on the TikToks a little bit, but we got a lot of other content coming out. So we'll be back on TikTok soon at GrabMyBannerPod. Am I missing anything, boys?
No, look forward to next week's Predator Report. I'm going to be taking a closer look into CLG's whole team and especially Vaxlon, and we're going to be checking out what it means to be a better Watson. So look forward to that.
Awesome. And then another thing too, guys, I just want to shout this out real quick. We've been getting a lot more feedback recently on people listening to the show, and I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. We've been putting a lot of work into this thing.
That's so cool.
Yeah, we've been working. How long have we been
thank you guys,
doing
man.
shit today? Since like 4 o'clock, and we started recording at like 9?
Well, hey, special, they call me the super producer, but the real producer is Wyatt Babb. The amount of effort you put into this just to make it what it is incredible. And all 4 of us are really busy, but you make especially the most time. So thanks for making it what it is.
Yeah, no, thank you, dude. Thanks to everybody out there listening. We're going to keep pumping out content for you guys, having a good time. All right, we will catch you guys next Wednesday. This is the Grab My Banner Pod. We'll see you next week.
See you.